In the darkest nights, we find our light. Battered souls, but we won't lose sight. Surviving together, never alone. Through every trial, we carry on. Surviving together, never alone. Through every trial, we carry on. Surviving together, we stand tall. United forever. Strength and courage will overcome. Oh, surviving together, victorious, and never alone. Hand in hand, we'll face the unknown.
We see you, we hear you, and we believe you. Hey, everyone. How you doing this Saturday? Welcome to Surviving Together, safe space for trauma survivors to connect and build community on their healing journeys, as well as providing trauma-related education for all. Today, we're going to talk about when it feels like it all falls apart. And it certainly did feel like that for me yesterday. First off, let me welcome who's here so far. We have Crystal is here, Carmel is here, as well as New Horizons. Welcome, you guys. I'm thankful that you guys have joined me here on this Saturday. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a mess. Maybe not as put together as I'd love to be, but I'm here. Sorry I couldn't make it on Wednesday. My migraines have still been not as frequent, but they've still been there, and I just could not do Wednesday. Late yesterday, I got another one, but they definitely are coming less frequent and not all day. At least I didn't get it until the evening, so plus on that. On the bad side, the little strawberry plant I have been growing since Mother's Day from a seed. Do you know how hard it is to grow strawberries from a seed? We managed to sprout 2, and one was doing fairly well. It was like an inch tall. I was really proud of it. The second one disappeared. We were kind of blaming the cats. It was the most likely scenario. And today, yeah, I'm definitely blaming the cats because my other little bud, yeah, he's gone too. And when I mean gone, I mean like no evidence anything had ever been sprouted. There wasn't even like a millimeter of a stem left. So yeah, my cats. I love them dearly. But they ate my strawberry plant. Yeah. So, sorry about that, guys. I'm not sure if you can hear I've got some dingings going on with my computer. I'll apologize. So, first, I really want to talk about, thanks, Crystal. I appreciate it. My month is almost up. Like I said, I get them usually for about a month, and I have been noticing that they're less frequent, and I didn't get them when the storms came. I got it when the storm passed through as it was done. So that's telling me that I'm definitely on my way out. So I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that we're definitely over the worst of it. I'm expecting maybe 1 or 2 more over the next week or 2. We'll see. But hopefully they'll come again later in the day and won't be there first thing when I wake up. and at least I'll be able to be productive for part of the day. That's kind of my goal. So when life falls apart, what do you do? What do you do? This was my yesterday. I definitely felt like the world came crashing down. I was overwhelmed. A lot of things came together all at once, and I had to seriously take a long, hard look at my life and where I was. And I know I've spoken about this before, about feeling overwhelmed, what to do, about um, when you feel like you're at the bottom, when nothing's been, working. And it's something that we continue to struggle through. And life is not linear. Healing is not linear. And I've said it before, I'm on this journey with you. Um, I'm not perfect. I don't have it all together. And I'm trying just as hard as most of you are. So what did I learn from all of this? Well, a couple of things. One, I have decided that I don't like where this is sitting right now, and I am going to whoop myself up a little bit. So excuse me for this little minor adjustment. There we go. First off, allow yourself to feel. Feel everything that you're feeling. Notice what you're feeling. Are you angry? Are you sad? Are you frustrated? Are you overwhelmed? What is it? Is it all of that? Allow yourself to feel and name it. Try to figure out what you are feeling and allow yourself to break down, however that looks. Is it crying? Is it screaming? Is it beating a pillow or throwing your fists into your bed until your arms just can't lift up anymore? Is it all of it? Whatever you need to try and just let it out. You need to let yourself feel this because we can't move on. We can't go forward until we've let those emotions go through us. And after we let those emotions go through us, then we need to pause. We need to stop. We need to breathe. And I do mean literally breathe. Now that we've got that storm of emotions mostly out of us, let's try and get our nervous system back on track. You can't think, you can't do anything while your nervous system is going haywire. So breathe, meditate, take a walk, whatever it is that is going to calm you down. Next, practice some self-compassion. Give yourself grace. You are not less than because you've had this moment, because you feel what you do. It just is. So give yourself the space to be able to work through this. When we do this, you might also try to tell yourself that this may feel like it is the end. It is the end of the world. Your life is imploding, but really, it is an opportunity for a new beginning. Now, that new beginning may last only a couple of days until you're back at this point. So, everything that I'm going to tell you you may have to repeat these things several times before you really get to that moving forward point. It depends on where you are, depends on how your emotions are. And there's nothing wrong with that. But keep the process in mind and keep giving yourself grace and realizing that you will get through this. You may not know how, may not know how long it's going to take, but you will get through this. You've been through dark places before. I know we all have. And we're still here. We're still surviving. And we're still fighting. Next, engage in some self-care, whatever that looks like. Whether that is immersing yourself in nature, taking a bubble bath, taking a nap, painting your nails, vegging out with TV, whatever you need to do to just care for yourself. Something that feels good, but also that's a positive coping mechanism. We don't want to turn to just a buffet of junk food, right? You want to inhale that one pint of ice cream? Go ahead. I'm certainly not going to tell you not to. But let's try not to inhale 1,000, 10,000 calories, right? Because you're only going to feel worse for it. Or down all that alcohol. Or turn to that, drug of choice. Let's try to do something that's not going to make you feel worse in the long run. Once that period of self-care is over. Next, you want to sit with yourself and you want to truly focus on the facts of your case, the facts of the situation. Now that we've gotten some of the emotion, released out of us, and we can think with a better, clearer mind, what's within my control? What is actually happening? Not what I think is happening, not what I feel is happening, but what is. And write it down. Write down everything that comes to mind. And then look at that list again. And weed through any of those statements that aren't objective facts, that aren't, if you find that something is really colored by emotion, cross that one off the list. Look at these things. And then look at what's in my control. That's really important to keep in mind, because a lot of times when we're feeling out of control, when we're feeling overwhelmed, we can focus on that stuff that is not in our control. How somebody else is reacting or feeling. You also want to then try and limit your stressors. People, places, things, whether that's things in your environment, people who are in your life. Now, this could be people that you need to address and you need to decide long term whether they need to be in your life or whether you need to set boundaries with them. But at least in the short term, Are there things that I can cut out of my life, boundaries that I can set to allow me to get through this moment, through this day, through this week? Because the more stress that we have, the more emotional we're going to be. And we want to try and take the emotions out of the situation right now. Because the next step that we need to do is making a plan. We've looked at the facts. We've said, okay, this is what it is. What can I do about it? Where do I want to go? Where am I now? And you can make that goal in terms of where you want to be as big or as small as you want it to be. Just the bigger the goal, the more steps you're going to have to write down, the more steps you're going to have to break it into in order to get there, because we need these to be bite-sized pieces. And I'll show you exactly what I mean when I talk about what I did and the process that I went through yesterday and today in terms of what I needed to do. So make a plan, but break that plan into steps that you can handle. And when you get to the take action point, if you are looking at your steps and you're like, okay, I don't know how to get there, that's too big of a step. Okay, break it down again. And in doing so, you may find that you can't think about that big goal right now. Your goal may be to get through today. And how am I going to do that? What can I do to get through today? Are there things that you have to get done? You know, those adulting things that we have to do. You may have your goal to just be to get through the next couple of days. So how do I do that? Knowing that the emotions that we connect with whatever the situation is, whatever caused us to feel this way, may come up again. So what's your plan for dealing with that? It can be these steps. You just go back to them. I had to. Like I said, none of this is linear. And there's absolutely no shame in having to redo steps. And some of these steps you may find that they work in a different order for you. And that's okay too. You find what works for you. These are the things that you, in general, you should be hitting in some form or fashion. And you may combine several of them into kind of one step. That's, again, depends on you, your personality, your situation. So we've made a plan. What now? Take a moment and remember, you are resilient. You can do this. You've gotten through dark times before. Think about the positives in your life, no matter how small that positive may seem. Think about every single positive thing you can. Think about your past successes. Think about the things that you've overcome in the past. Remind yourself that you can fight. You can survive. You can get through this. Maybe difficult, yes. You may not get through it in the time frame you want to, but you will come out on the other side. Also, reach out for support. Friends, family, internet family, whoever it is. Because by connecting with someone, you will feel that you're not alone, because you aren't truly alone. If you're here or if you're hearing this, there is somebody in your corner. Connect with those people. They may not have any words of wisdom or advice, good advice to help you through, but just knowing that there's somebody who cares can be very, very powerful. It can help get you through that next hour or that next day, or give you that motivation to actually take the next step, which is taking action. Because we can have the best plans in the universe, but if we don't take action on those plans, if we don't do something to try and get to that next step that we've identified, nothing is going to happen. And we aren't going to move forward. But by remembering that positive stuff, remembering that we have been resilient and we have overcome in the past, hopefully that can give you the courage, give you the nudge to actually do the action, to make some effort towards that step. And if you don't get to that step, if you don't complete it, what did you do to get towards that? Well, that step then was a little too big for you. So you got from point A to point B instead of C. So how do you get from B to C then? You reevaluate. And so we're going to constantly be looking at our taking action and our plan to make sure that it's manageable and to make sure that we're moving forward. And I do encourage you to write this stuff down, because it's real easy to have this stuff in our brain and to think about it. But there's something about writing it down. There's something about seeing it, that it's concrete. And you don't forget it. And you don't forget the why. Write those positive things down as well, because you can look back at that when you're having trouble taking action. You can look back at your positives to remind yourself, yes, I can do this. I can take action. I can take some form of action to get myself to a better place than I was yesterday, or last hour, or last minute. So in a nutshell, those are, kind of the steps of what we need to think about when life has totally overwhelmed us, when we feel like everything is falling apart, if we feel like we're at our rock bottom. There's a video I want to play for you guys, and it's a little long. I'm going to play it on 1.5 speed, so that it's not too terribly long. But it kind of put everything, what I was saying, together. It also talks about it in kind of the grander scheme of trusting in the universe, that we're here for a reason. We may not know that reason. We may not know the lesson that we're learning right now, We may not know why we're fighting or why we're having the pain that we're having, but it will pass. And we will have something better on the other side. So I'll play that for you guys, and then I'm going to tell you about my journey and what kind of happened for me the last couple of days. Hi, Tommy. Hope you're having a good afternoon. Cheryl, thank you for being here. Todd, I'm so glad you are here as well. All right, let me present this.
Sometimes, life can hit you hard, like a punch to the face. Those are the days when anxiety, grief, and stress overwhelm you so much that it's difficult to think clearly. It's no secret it can be very difficult and painful. You try to avoid problems, end up facing even more challenges, and sinking sense of hope or way out. Days seem to grow longer, and sadness surrounds you. No matter how much you try to hold on, everything seems to fall apart and slip out of your control. Whether it's from losing a job, experiencing the death of a loved one, a broken relationship, or facing a major life event, just know that you're not alone in feeling this way. Neil Donald Walsh once said, "Everything is falling together perfectly, even though it looks as if some things are falling apart. Trust in the process you are now experiencing." If you've been wishing for happiness or something new in your life, it's important to understand that sometimes things might fall apart as part of the process to bring you what you've been asking for. When life seems to fall apart, it's essential to remember that change is constant. Just as night turns into day, bad luck can transform into good luck, and what seems like a curse may actually turn into a blessing. So, instead of thinking that life is falling apart, could it be that, in the grand scheme of things, life is actually falling into place? When life seems to fall apart, remember that it's not just the circumstances themselves that make us miserable, but also how we perceive and react to these circumstances. Shakespeare said, "There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so." For circumstances to unfold, they must first fall apart to rebuild a stronger foundation. When you hit rock bottom, the only place to go is up, and that's a good thing because it shows how strong you are, even when things are tough. To make space for new things in your life, you should let go of things that no longer help you. If your beliefs are old-fashioned or holding you back, it's better to let them go, even if it feels like everything is falling apart. It might be the start of rebuilding something better for the future. Trust that things are working out the way they should. Sometimes you fall apart because you're only looking at one part of the whole picture. Life has its ups and downs, and the tough times are just a small part of the overall journey. Life is neither fair nor unfair, according to your assessment of it. There's a natural flow of energy that exists in life. Whatever is meant to happen will happen, regardless of how much you resist it. So, it's important to accept that some things are beyond your control, and to go with the flow of life. Trying to wish away an unpleasant experience will only make your reaction to it stronger. When you feel deeply upset, try to gather yourself and keep moving forward on your path. Feeling vulnerable is normal for humans. In the darkest moments of despair, you discover your strength and resilience once the storm has passed. Brené Brown said, "Vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change." Some of your biggest breakthroughs in life may come when you feel the most hopeless. Even though it may not seem like it at the time, once things settle down, you'll notice something better emerging. As humans, we often feel uneasy about change because it makes us feel vulnerable. But it's okay to embrace this discomfort instead of running away from it because it's a natural part of your growth and development. Sometimes, you may think you are in control of your life, but when unexpected things happen, it can shake your sense of stability. You can be hard on yourself, believing you contributed to your life falling apart. But trust that it's actually coming together in a way that's even better than you could have imagined. Trust in the unfolding of life, for there is a higher intelligence at play, guiding you to your destined shores. Remember that life is a series of natural and spontaneous changes. Don't resist them. That only creates sorrow. Let reality be reality. Let things flow naturally forward in whatever way they like. The universe, or you can call it God, is on your side and working for you. It is making space for a new life and clearing the path ahead. Sometimes you need to go through difficult experiences to learn important lessons and grow. But remember, it doesn't have to be painful all the time. If you change your perspective on your life situation, it becomes easier to accept. You'll be kinder to yourself, because you'll understand that everything happens for a reason, and the pain will eventually fade away. Keep faith that better things are coming your way. Each situation you face is an opportunity to learn and grow, preparing you for the next steps in life. Think of life as a game. Just like in a game, you can't jump straight to the best part or become the strongest or richest character right away. You need to go through various missions and learn valuable lessons before you can handle the challenges that come with the good parts of life. Embrace the journey and trust that each step is leading you to something better. This could be a time of spiritual awakening, or even in the midst of it. If you haven't started a spiritual journey yet, get ready for a transformative experience, because once it begins, you won't be the same. You are here for a reason, so don't give up or ignore this opportunity. Despite the pain and tears, the process and journey will be worth it in the end. Embrace this chance for growth and discovery, as it can lead you to a more fulfilling and meaningful life. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "What lies behind us and what lies before us are but tiny matters compared to what lies within us." Use this moment in your life to explore your inner self deeply and connect with your creative power. It may not be easy, but don't give up. If you quit, you'll miss the chance to become the person you were destined to be, and that would be a broken life. Stay positive. Be gentle with yourself and embrace the journey. You have incredible power in you, so make the most of it and enjoy the process of self-discovery and growth. Pain is certain. Suffering is optional. You can let difficult circumstances make you miserable, or you can focus on the good things instead. I am so happy that you're watching all the way to the end here. I hope you learned something today, and I wish you all
I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got something out of it. Even if you're not a spiritual person in any way, I think that the message is still there. It really encapsulates everything that I was saying. Um, when I listened to that today, it helped me remember that, I've been here before and things have gotten better in unexpected ways. And I've learned new truths each time. And while I don't know what that is right now, maybe I'll know tomorrow or the next week. Maybe I won't know until I'm fully out of this position right now. I don't know. But I'm on the way to a better me. I'm in the process of becoming who I was meant to be. So my journey over the last few days, and I'll address all your comments here in a minute as soon as I get through this part. I see you guys, and I am not ignoring you. Hey, Misha, thanks for joining us today. So yeah, yesterday I felt the weight of the world on me, and the tears just came. In part because I was extremely emotional about what I was going through. Um, I have no doubt, I've been weaning off of my antidepressants. I'm taking longer than I had it originally anticipated, or that the doctor had prescribed. The doctor's, weaning off phase. I'm increasing the length of time that I'm at each stage. And I'm feeling better now that I'm doing that. The way that we were doing it, I think it was just going too quick for me. And so I'm stabilizing it. When I feel stable at each stage, instead of just going, okay, well, that week's over, I need to move to the next phase. I'm not moving to that next phase until I feel stable. And maybe I'll only be at one stage for the week, but I may be at the next stage for 2 or 3. I don't know. But I'm listening to my body. I'm listening to my emotions and seeing how I feel, and trying to take at least that piece out of everything else that's going on around me, right? Because that is within my control. I still want to get off of these. My life isn't going to wait. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. There's not ever going to be the best time to try and get off of these. But I was at a fairly good place when I started. And if I simply go back to taking them within full, trying to wait for the next time that everything seems to be within alignment, I could start my weaning off process again, and then 4 things could come crashing down on me. I have to deal with life. So that's one thing that I did, that took a stressor away from me, that gave me control over what was going on within my body. And I feel better for that. So even though my week's going to be starting over again, I'm still going to be taking it as a daily instead of switching to the every other day, which I was scheduled to do. So I've been doing daily, I think, for 2 weeks now, and I'm going to increase it for at least another week. And we'll see next Saturday where things go. And maybe at that time I'll be ready to do the every other. And if that doesn't go well, I might need to get a half dose to sprinkle in between in that every other. And I may need to lessen the dose, but at a greater, I may need to go a half step down instead of like the full step down, if that makes sense. So we'll see what happens with that. So yesterday the first thing I did was allow myself to feel. And I cried 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 until I just was out of tears. And then I sat with myself and I said, okay, what am I feeling? What's going on with me? I felt totally emotional. My financial circumstances have really collapsed on me. Part of it is my job. For the health reasons, the migraines, I haven't been able to work the hours that I need to in order to support myself. The GoFundMe has been very slow, and I'm so thankful to each and every one of you who have contributed, whether that's financial or whether your contribution has been sharing the GoFundMe out. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. If you can continue to share it out, I would appreciate it. Particularly if you have Facebook or Instagram. I don't have those. I'm not active on those. So that's a great method of getting the word out and encouraging when you put it out, encouraging people to share it. Again, getting the message out to as many people as possible is the best way that I have. Frustrated with my health situation, frustrated that it was affecting me so deeply financially, frustrated that my GoFundMe hasn't gained the traction that I want it to, particularly when it's something that is so important to me. The reason as to why I'm doing this, trying to get to Vancouver. And even though my financial situation is precarious in terms of just meeting my monthly bills, please know that any donations that have been given to me, they're set aside in my separate Surviving Together account, and they're going towards exactly what I've said that they're going towards, whether that is been book fees in the past for those of you who donated before the GoFundMe was even set, or if you've donated now, the money's gone towards getting my passport, which I've gotten now, and all the money that I've been gaining over the past week or so is going towards my flight ticket, which is going to be, I think, $500-600. It's kind of where we're sitting now. As time gets closer, I know that amount may change. It may go up, it may go down. I don't know, um, but I can't book that flight until I have that money. Unfortunately, I don't have a separate credit card to be able to just park it on and then feed the money into. So I've got to raise the money first to be able to put it there. I screamed into a pillow. I cried. I felt my feelings. I identified them. And then I spent probably a good half hour just breathing, sitting with my thoughts, trying to meditate, just trying to get my nervous system back online to a point where I could think. I couldn't even think about self-care. I couldn't even think about giving myself compassion because internally I was so messed up, right? I was so emotional. And all I could think about was all the bad things. You know, how was I going to get how was I going to make mortgage? How was I going to, you know, make it through the next month, the next 15 days of bills? How was I going to, I couldn't even think. So I had to just sit with myself and breathe. And once I got myself calmed down, I was able to give myself compassion and say, okay, you've had this moment. You had one of these just a few weeks ago. And I was like, WTF, right? But I didn't go through the process of what I went through this time. I went through the first part of it, right? I felt all the feelings. I screamed, I cried. I was like, all right, this is it. It's, you're still okay. You're you're not weak. You're you can make it, do the self-care, but it kind of ended there. And I didn't write down those steps in terms of what can be my action plan. I thought of things, but thoughts can be fleeting and thoughts can disappear. And you can't always go back to them the next day. You don't always remember to go back to them the next day because maybe you're dealing with a lot of feelings that next day as well. So it's something definitely that I did different this time was writing my stuff down. The self-care I engaged in, I took a walk and I rested. And resting for me meant that I slept the rest of the day. I ended up with a migraine by the end of the day, partly because the weather system had passed, partly because of the crying and all the emotions. So I dealt with all of that. So this morning, I started again. I started with my self-care again. I started with identifying how I was feeling in the morning. I took some time, I took my coffee, and I took a self-assessment of where I was at that moment. And I took a walk. It's something that I want to get into for my health, for losing weight, for regulating my emotions. It's good for me for so many, many reasons. And I got my walk in. I probably got 3 in this week. So not every day. Um, but I made progress because I had these steps to look back upon. I had written this out. So when I got back, that's when I could get to the action plan and say, okay, what is my plan? What are my goals? I have 4 main goals this year. Immediate goal is being able to cover monthly expenses. My other goal is getting to my book launch. The more immediate step with that is getting my flight booked. In order to get my flight booked, I've got to raise that 600 for it. The money I've raised so far has covered the passport and then a little bit towards the flight. So I've got to figure out, okay, how can I raise that money? I have a plane ticket that unfortunately won't get me to Vancouver that I have to use from my canceled flight to Florida last year. But it will get me to Buffalo. And Buffalo is right next to Rochester. And Rochester is where I spent 8 years of my childhood growing up. And a lot of childhood trauma occurred in that city. And it's a goal of mine to get there and visit the places where I grew up. I want to visit both those childhood homes, and I want to visit both my schools that I went to. And kind of put that to bed. Rochester's your closest city, really. How far are you from Buffalo? Buffalo is where my plane ticket will get me to. It will get me from where I live to Buffalo on a direct flight, believe it or not. I'm blown away that it will, but it's Allegiant, so they go funky places. I have contacted one person who lives in Buffalo who had said earlier in the year was willing to drive me around, drive me from Buffalo to Rochester and kind of drive me around those cities. Okay, so you're on the other side from Rochester. Well, if I make it out there, Cheryl, I would, love to meet up. Maybe meet in Rochester when I can get there. So I've contacted the person in Buffalo to see if they're still willing to be able to pick me up and get me to Rochester. And looking for some couches to surf on for a few days because, I'll have enough money to feed myself type of thing, but to add hotel to it, it would just be another GoFundMe cost really that I can't do. Since I have the ticket, since I have the plane ticket, probably only looking at spending a couple of nights. Probably depending on I'm not sure when the flight I can get in is. If it's early enough in the day, I'm hoping that the person can pick me up from Buffalo and I can drive straight to Rochester, do our things, and, then figure it out from there. So, Cheryl, if you want to be able to connect, I'm not sure if I have your email or not, but I would say shoot me an email, survivingtogether@gmail.com, just to make sure that I have a way to connect with you. And when I am able to get that trip planned and concrete, I would love to connect with you. So I'll definitely let you know. So shoot me an email as soon as possible so you don't forget. And that way it's in my inbox and I will not forget then as well. And you can put like Rochester or something in the subject line, because then that'll key me in as to why I'm keeping your name right there. Um, and my fourth goal is to um, get to the trauma retreat in Salt Lake City. That's totally paid for except for um, my transportation out there. I'm not sure. It's about another $500 for me to get out there, but the flights don't really work well with the time that we need to be there. We have to be there Monday through Thursday, and we have to be there Monday morning through Thursday evening, and the flights in are in the evening and out are in the morning, so they're kind of opposite of what I need. So I'm either looking at staying Sunday night and leaving Friday morning, or probably looking at driving. So if I'm looking at avoiding hotel cost for that, I really don't want to sleep in my car, but I don't know anybody out in the area. So if you guys do know anybody in the Salt Lake City area who'd be willing to put me up for a couple of nights, and really it's like I would be flying in late in the evening, just need to stay overnight and get back to the airport because there's people who would pick me up. Um, or I'm possibly looking at driving. Um, it was, I got the okay at the beginning of the year, and it's good for a year. I'm not sure if that's good for a year, meaning 12 months. So maybe the beginning of 2026 I can still go, or if it's just through this year. Um, but I was hoping to still get to it by the end of 2025. So that's another goal of mine. But that's kind of that's on the backest burner right now. Hoping that if for whatever reason I can't get to it within the time frame I need to, that I could qualify for it again. Um, Once I kind of had everything in line, knowing that I can get there, and as soon as they approve me, I could, schedule the first time available. Um, so those are my main goals. So I looked at my goals and I said, okay, how am I going to get there? Well, in terms of meeting monthly expenses, I had to take a real hard look at my finances. I've cut out pretty much everything extraneous that I can at this point. I can't redo my mortgage or anything. I have condo fees every month. But I did end up cutting out my women's specialist, unfortunately. Um, she was only prescribing me my estrogen patch, which I'm pretty sure I can get my main doctor to prescribe that for me. Um, but I couldn't afford the monthly fee that uh, that I had to pay in order to keep her on as a specialist. So taking everything that she has taught me thus far, everything that I've learned, and hopefully there'll be a time in the future when I can start up with her again. Um, it was unfortunate and a little painful to let that go, but necessary. Um, I only have, I think, a couple more months of book fees that I have to come up with, and then that'll be over with. That's a huge chunk. It's almost $500 a month right now. So it's a huge chunk of money that I'm responsible for each month. And so that will ease up in a few months. I think by August, I won't have that. July, I have one more payment for some past medical bills that I've been paying on, and then that will be over, thankfully. So there'll be that little bit of breathing room there. Um, and I had a long talk with my son in terms of what he could contribute to the household expenses. And he has been. Um, me as a parent, I want him to work and save as much as he can for his future. I want to be able to provide the bare minimum here in terms of electrical and gas and the mortgage, right, and the basics. I want to be able to provide that for him. And yeah, he still spends money on himself, and he's still doing stuff, but he upgraded his car. He did sell his old car, put all that money towards his new car. And so I'm really proud of where he is. And I'm thankful from the bottom of my heart that I have that support from him and that he is able to contribute to the monthly bills. I mean, he can't tackle them all himself, but he is contributing. And as much as I didn't want to accept that, I am grateful, so grateful for him. He is such a good kid, and I am so proud of him. It hurts as a parent not to be able to provide everything for your child, despite the fact that he is legally an adult. He's still my kid, and he's still under my roof. And I want the best for him. So yeah, one of the feelings that I was dealing with is feeling like I failed as a parent. Because I know that if I can work 40 hours a week, if my job is consistent, if I have 40 hours a week available to me every week, I can make my minimum bills. There's not a lot extra, but I'm okay with that. But I can at least make the household expenses. I know that the health constraints that I've been under are out of my control. I had to take a long look at my job too. My main day job that I do, the legal work that I do. And I don't hate it. I'm not as in love with it as I was. When I started, I used to be able to work for 10 hours straight. I mean, literally with just taking a bathroom break and coming right back at it. And the time would just fly by. And that's not the case anymore. And I've been so hard on myself because when I am working, I struggle to keep my focus, that I don't enjoy it the way I used to, that I'm not able to operate at the level that I used to be able to. And I had to come to grips with reality that circumstances have changed. I'm not the person I used to be even 6 years ago. And even though I am in a better place than I was mentally in terms of healing from trauma and healing from my mental break, I'm in a different place in relation to that kind of work that I do. So my self-compassion was allowing myself to say, it's okay. I will work as much as I can. And I may never get back to the level that I was at. And what can I do about that? If I can't work 40 hours a week at this job, what can I do? Well, I can't have a similar job to it because I can't work two of those at the same time. It's just a restriction of the job. But that doesn't mean I can't have a different part-time job. And most of those other part-time jobs, yeah, it's a significant pay cut. And it's stuff I could probably do in my sleep. But if it's a part-time job that I can have and that's going to be there, regardless of what other hours are there with my legal work, at least it's something. Because like the project I'm on is going to be ending probably Monday. And then I'm, SOL in terms of having anything else lined up. So I put it on my list of looking into these other part-time jobs that I've been seeing that are about $10 less an hour, but it's something versus having nothing, right? On the days when I'm not working my projects, at least there's something there. So I'm going to see about getting some other part-time work that even when I do have those legal projects that I can still, be working on. I can still have them and I can have them at the same time because they won't legally conflict with the job that I'm doing. So that's one of the things that I'm doing. I also reached out to a connection of mine who is in the speaker circuit for mental health. It's a circuit that I've wanted to get into, and probably initially I might have to just kind of start local, maybe at a business club or a Rotary Club or the library or wherever, giving talks and not being able to charge a speaker fee for it. But from there, I should be able to hopefully, be able to get into something that I'll be able to charge a speaker fee for. But I don't really know how to go about that. So I've reached out to my contact and I'm going to see about doing that. This may be all more information than you guys want to sit through. I don't know, but I'll tell you, it's very cathartic for me. It also keeps me responsible, keeps me accountable because I've said this stuff then out loud. I've not only written it down, but I'm going through it with you today. So you guys can hold me accountable and say, hey, where are you on that? Have you made any steps towards that? If not, why not? And that's perfectly okay with me. So yeah, I've also pulled up my press package for my award for Women Changing the World to actually send out to some local places. It wasn't something I really was interested too much in doing, but um, I think it might be a way to kickstart some of the GoFundMe, because from that award led to the book, and now I'm trying to get to the book launch. So putting the word out there that way through some local media, whether it's my township, they've got a little blurb that they do. The kind of next door township has one. There's local news. If I can get them to pick up the story, we'll see. So that's another thing that I'm doing in regards to that, and I'm going to be reposting the GoFundMe myself through LinkedIn, and just kind of updating people where I am, and how the book's coming along, and throwing it out there again for everyone, and letting them know that it's the plane ticket that I'm kind of working on. That although 6,000 is my goal in general, that I'm looking at 600. I'm looking at the 600 piece right now for my plane ticket, and see if I can get some traction for that by just kind of pushing that little piece. Because I know when you look at the larger amount, people say I can only do $10, or I can only do $20 or $5 even, and it's kind of like But when it's only $600, there's that psychological piece that says, okay, my $10 actually can make a difference in regards to them getting to that, right? So if you guys, if you've pushed my GoFundMe out before, if you want to push it out again, you can mention that, it's the plane ticket that I am most eager to get through, to try and get that set. And I can work on the rest of the book fees and the hotel from that point, to November. So yeah. So financially, that's what I'm doing with that. My electrical system is really screwed up in my condo. We've got it kind of maintained for right now, as long as we don't touch a certain plug. I'm a little concerned about it because with it going so wonky and tripping the breaker, and it affects the microwave, I worry that it could explode and, start a fire or something. I think whoever redid this, I think the previous owner redid a bunch of stuff. They replaced some face plates, and I think they might have monkeyed with something. And so, yeah, I'm going to have to get an electrician in here. My son's kind of asking around at his work to see if there's anybody who has some experience, who might be able to at least look at it and say, yeah, you need to get a licensed electrician in here, or is this something that just needs a new ground wire, or, to see if we can get some at least knowledge, right, in terms of where to go with it. My AC's broke. It broke last year. I cannot afford to get a new one. It's like $5,000 for a new AC unit, and I just can't do that. So thankfully, I do have an Amazon credit card. It's the only credit card I have. And so I got a little room one. And well, I thought it was little. It's a lot taller than I expected. But it came yesterday, and we got it put together, and we're going to see how it works. We've got it downstairs right now, and we're going to leave it there for right now. It's been cool enough at the evenings. I've been able to open the windows and have it cool enough in my office. And if I have to bring that up in the afternoons to be able to still work in my office, I will. Or depending on the job that I'm at, I might be able to work downstairs. Different law jobs that I do, I work through different companies, and some require different equipment than others. One I can use just my laptop for, and that's easier to move around than moving around the other equipment that I have for my other job. So it might be a hot summer. It stays fairly cool. My son has the basement. Unfortunately, he had the screen door open and had the fan in front of that, blowing the cool air in from the night. Love my cats. Did I tell you that again? They're my son's cats actually, but we love them. But yeah, they punched a hole in the screen. And I found one of the cats out on the patio this morning. So we can only have it open about like this much, the screen showing, because otherwise, I swear, cats have absolutely no bones. They are able to mush themselves through the smallest spaces. I closed it, I swear to you, only about, I think it was like 6 inches, and thought, okay, that's enough. He can still get some air through. It's not great, but it's enough. The air can come through and the cats won't go out. Yeah, I was wrong. I found Tig out on the patio again less than 10 minutes later. I thought he figured out how to jump down, but no, they just finally poked a hole through the screen. So we're gonna have to figure out something with that, because he does need some airflow through there. I think we'll be able to. I think I can able to keep, if I can keep them out and remember to get that door. If he closes the door every morning when he leaves, he'll be able to keep the fan and open it more, and we can work with it that way. We just have to remember to keep that door closed. So it's supposed to be an extra hot summer here, but we've made our steps, right? It's not ideal, but I have tank tops and I'm here alone. So even if I'm just in my bra, it's not going to affect anybody. So I'll do what I have to for this. Yeah, they are indoor cats. Well, Deaudrey, they like going outside on the patio. And I'm not so worried about the one. He would just be out and probably meander on the patio. It's the other one who, they both know how to jump the fence, but he definitely, the one, Moki, he's the one I have to watch, because if Tig's out on the upstairs patio, he's going to stay on the upstairs patio. He looks to jump down, but I think he's too scared to do it. I know that he can, but he just won't. That's what I say today. I'd have no wood to knock on right where I am, unfortunately. But he will just go on to the down patio. And if the gate is left open, he'll probably sneak out the gate. And I think there's enough clearance with the gate, even when it's closed on the bottom, that he might be able to, like I said, they have no bones. I swear their skull, I think, is in 2 pieces, so it can go like this as well. So yeah, we just have to watch it. So welcome, Deaudrey. Cooking, no problem. Yeah, I've basically been, I won't say I've been bitching. I've just been updating you on where I am. We kind of covered what to do when your life falls apart, and then kind of went over my life and how I was feeling, and the steps that I have taken. The cats are liquid. Deaudrey, this is 100%. Deaudrey, the cats are liquid. I swear, I don't know how they manage to get through such small spots, but their shoulders can go like this, right? So they can, their shoulder blades. So as long as they're like, It's amazing. Basically, I've heard that they can get through any spot that their skull, as long as their skull can get through, the rest of their body can move and compress to line up with their skull. And these are small cats, so right, their skull, I think, is probably only this big. Amazing. Thank you, Crystal. I appreciate it. She says, always here to listen and support. And it means the world to me. And it's the reason I came on today. I know I'm not the only one who goes through these things, who has these times in their life when they feel overwhelmed or feel like everything's falling apart. And just how do I get from here to there? I think, this really is a new beginning for me in that I may be looking at working only part-time at my law job and maybe then also having this other part-time job. Maybe I'll be able to supplement it with speaking fees. Um, I don't know, but I feel that this is a time of financial transition for me, and that just working the standard 40-hour work week is probably something that might not be in my future. And if it isn't, then how do I still cover my expenses? You know, um, like I said, I've cut everything I possibly can, and we're it's still a chunk of change, right? It's it's still a decent chunk of change. So how do I make that happen? And if it's not going to be through 40 hours a week with work, then what can I do? Because I'm still capable of working. Um, I've just got to get everything, aligned in terms of when I can work, how I can work. And like I said, as long as I'm able to meet my basic needs, I'm fine. I'm fine. As long as I can make those bills, I don't need any extras right now. The extras in my life are going to be getting to Rochester and taking that trip, getting to my book launch, and making the most of my time there and the connections that I can make, and hopefully meeting people that I can get more into the speaking circuit, um, and just more exposure for Surviving Together and for the trauma work that I'm doing, and to be able to talk about it with people. Just going back through some of your guys' comments. New Horizon says, I'm going to be as active as possible this week on my YouTube. My goal is to get monetized so I can start doing more with my family and friends that I haven't seen in a long time. That's awesome. We are about 100 hours from being monetized. We're kind of stuck there. So if you guys want to run any of the playlists that we have, that would be awesome. If you haven't taken a moment to like or subscribe, please do so before you leave here today. Really appreciate it. It helps get these videos out with the algorithm. And if you can comment after the show, that is appreciated as well. Thank you, Carmel and Misha. They both put up the GoFundMe link. You can also find it on my community post, so you don't have to write it down for here. Oh, interesting. Misha says, I've just learned about type 1 versus type 2 learning. Very interesting. I watched a video titled Why Deep Thinkers Stay Stuck. It's theoretical versus experiential. I'm going to be digging into this. Interesting. I will look forward to see what you come up with in regards to that. Cheryl says, in regards to the process that I was talking about for when your life falls apart, she says, I follow that exact process and can truly say that it does work. When something is under construction, it looks like a mess, but it could take a long time. But when it's done, it's beautiful. Crystal also says, sometimes it's just getting through the next hour or half hour or minute. And that is totally true. And that's why I say we have to break our action steps into pieces. And those pieces may look very, very small. But when we're able to accomplish a piece, it's another success. And it's another bit of motivation to go on and to move forward and to show that you can move forward. It may have only been by a nudge, a baby step, but it's something in that direction. And even if those steps are really small, it may take us a little longer to get to that goal or to get to what we feel is like an actionable step towards that goal. But we will eventually get there. But if we don't put those steps in places that we can actually reach them, we will forever miss them and we won't be moving forward. And I think that's where we can really, really get stuck. Remembering the positive. When things are at their darkest, remember the things that we have done in the past. Look at your successes. Look at what's positive in your life. I have my family. I have friends. I have these damn cats. Even though that they have found another escape route and they ate my plant, I still love them, and they do bring me a good measure of peace. I have all of you guys. So I am extremely thankful that you're here, that you stayed to listen to me babble on for an hour and a half. Kermel, I may not ever have to thank you, but I do, and I always will. Shout out, thank you for being here. You have gone through your own struggles, and each of you, I know, who are here right now have gone through some big struggles, and you're still here, and you're still fighting, and you're still surviving. Even if you don't feel like you're thriving right now, you can, and you will. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of getting there. So I encourage you, write down your goals, write down actionable steps to get there, and keep breaking those steps down into pieces that you can manage. Reach out for support. If you're not sure how to get from A to B, look for advice. Somebody may not be able to tell you how to get to A to B, but maybe they can get you halfway there. Maybe they've got some information that will trigger something in your brain that you go, oh, wait, maybe I can do this. Sometimes we get stuck in thinking there's this one path on how I can get there. And we keep trying to get there along that path. And we keep failing. Even though we're breaking the steps down and we think, I should be able to make this the step, and I should be able to get there doing this. Sometimes we need a different path. Maybe it's just temporary. Maybe it's a little, kind of zigzag to get back onto that path. Maybe it's going to be a whole separate path to get to that goal. Like what I'm talking about with my finances, my financial situation. I can work 40 hours a week if they're available, doing doc review, and they're not always available. If I can't, because of my health, whether that's physical health or my mental health, whatever, okay, what else can I do? I can't rely on my YouTube right now, right? Because even if I get monetized, my first monetization, the 3,000 hours, we're at like 2,900 hours, is just going to get me super chats, memberships, right? And if you're going to donating through the Cash App, PayPal, or the GoFundMe is a much better way in terms of, then the biggest percentage of money is actually going to get to where it needs to go and be able to be put towards what it needs to be put towards. So we're about 1,100 hours away from being able to, and another 400 subscribers from being able to reach that 1,000 subscriber, 4,000 hour mark. That's kind of our next one. So right now I'm just, kind of have that 3,000 hour goal just so that we can do that, put our app in, get monetized at that level, because we have to do that in order to be able to reach the, monetization where we can do ads. I don't know what kind of ads that we'll even be able to get even if I'm able to reach that level. So we'll just kind of have to see. It's kind of a whole nother goal that I'm not focused on at the moment. Hi, Polly. How you doing? I'm so glad you're here. If you didn't see the GoFundMe, Polly, I've got a GoFundMe out for trying to get to Vancouver. You can see it in it's in the chat here somewhere. And it's also on my community post. If you're interested in, shooting any amount towards that, that'd be awesome. If not, if you could share it out on your social media, anything that you have, Facebook, just trying to get it to Vancouver, just trying to raise about $600 at this point to be able to book my ticket to Vancouver. So hugs, Polly, hugs. Crystal said, I set a goal a while back that I worked on this morning. I was missing so much work that I made a goal that if I felt like calling in, I do my best to go in for 4 hours. I did that this morning. Great job, Crystal. Great job. That's kind of what I said with myself, that if I can't work a full day, what can I do? If I can work in the morning and the headache comes on in the afternoon, that's what it is. If the headache comes in the morning, if it's gone by 2, can I put in 4 hours? Sometime between 2 and 8. Because they've got kind of a cutoff time that you can work. And do what I can. And that is going to be okay. Now, whether or not it's okay enough that they'll hire me for another job, I don't know. But I have to make it be okay within me for my mental health. Because putting that extra stress on me is doing me no good. Right? It causes more anxiety. And when I'm prone to these headaches anyway, that anxiety and increased stress is could potentially be a trigger if I have a bad headache, getting it into a migraine situation, right? And we don't want that. Hey, Sammy, how you doing? Oh, I love you too. I hope you got my texts. We'll definitely do something together here soon. I was potentially going to spend the rest of the day getting something ready for tonight. I don't know if you're planning on going on tonight or not, but we'll definitely do something together soon. Now that I'm feeling better. So I hope you are doing well. Been thinking about you. Been thinking about your family. I hope your thumb is healing. And welcome to the Stumpy Club. You are in good company with Tommy Stiggs and my dad, and I think a few other people too are part of that. If you guys like true crime or kind of what's in the headlines, you can check After the Bars. He does that as well as just personal content. And we've done some lives together, and we're still going to cover the Canadian hockey trial. The decision is due the end of July 24th, I believe. So sometime between now and then, we will definitely cover the trial in depth. So it might even be a two-parter because there's a lot of information there. It's not a he said, she said. The events happened. It is a matter of consent, whether or not you view what happened, whether you view that she consented to one or all of what had happened there. There's 5 defendants, and each are accused of different acts. So it's believing whether she consented to each and every one of those acts. So everybody's testimony is really crucial, I think, in building a full picture as to whether or not you believe that the victim in this case did not consent to any of the acts that were perpetrated. So that's why it's been an in-depth research project and a lot to put together for me. And I have not been able to get it all together with the way my head's been. So it's halfway done. So we might have enough for one show, actually. The research is there. I just need to compile it or condense it, I should say. Condense it to something that I can send on to Sammy. And we could do that and present that. So, and then I could work on the second half. But I wanted to have them both done and be able to do them kind of a back-to-back type of thing so people could follow along a little bit. So there wouldn't be too much of a break between the 2 shows that we do if we do it that way. Anyway. Krista said the first show we did on it was good. Oh, I'm glad you liked that. Yeah, we covered everything. So you can find either on Surviving Together or on After the Bars. Sammy and I covered everything that happened up to the current trial, because the events actually happened in 2008, June of 2018, I should say, not 18. So this is 8 years ago now. And it was looked into, the case was closed, then there was a civil settlement, and then there was media attention, and then it was reopened, and then like a year and a half later, the hockey players were eventually charged, and then it took like another year, about a year, before the first trial happened, because the trial that we're going to be talking about is actually the second trial. They were only a few days into the first trial. There was a mistrial, and then they had the second trial a few days later. So yeah, a lot of information. So we covered kind of the basics of what happened with that and how they got to that point. So we'll be focusing on the individual testimony then of the victim. She was on the stand for 7 days, 9 days, something like that. Because, she had 5 cross-examinations, 5 defendants, 5 cross-examinations. So it was a lot. It was a lot. So with that, I think I will say adios for you guys for today. I am going to be on Wednesday, health willing, but I've got it planned for now. And next Saturday is Laugh Saturday. So a week from today is the first Saturday of July 5th. And so we'll be doing Laugh Saturday then. So you hope you can all join us for that. Hey, Rick, how you doing? Hope your day's been going well. Thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate it. So remember, you are worthy, you are valuable, and you are loved just the way you are for who you are. Hugs and love from me. Mwah. Surviving together, never alone. And you guys can enjoy the outro.
Through the fire, through the rain, we have walked through endless pain, but we stand, we rise again, stronger now, we break the chain, surviving together, hearts open wide, lifting each other through every tide. The past may have shaped us, but it won't define. Together we heal, together we shine. Every tear, every scar tells the story of who we are. Not just survivors, but warriors too. With love as our armor, we see this through. We see you, we hear you, and we believe in you. Surviving together, hearts open wide, lifting each other through every tide. The past may have shaped us, but it won't define. Together we heal, together we shine. We see you, we hear